Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable, where we're about to break down, discuss, unpack, and challenge pretty much anything spiritual. Together, we're going to embark on a journey of unlocking spiritual potential through a ton of things like healing, balance, oneness, devil's advocate, and so much more. We always promise to give you what you need and only sometimes what you want. I'm your host, Erika M, child of balance, and here with me, my co-host is Miss Erin M, Keys of Wisdom 369. Today, we're going to be talking about everyday abilities, ordinary people leading ordinary lives, and just how magical they actually are. Let's not waste a minute. Let's get right into it. All right, so when everybody starts thinking about abilities, I feel like the natural go-to is to just jump right into the clairs. Now, when we talk about the clairs, a lot of people, I think, don't necessarily realize that we don't just have five clairs or even six clairs, even though we say six senses. Technically, there's actually seven. And some of them, while they work together, there's a very distinct delineation between the definition of two or three of these. So I just figured since we're talking about abilities, we might as well start with what people commonly view as abilities, which would be the clairs. You know?
Yep. Yep. That's a great place to start.
So a lot of people, I think the number one, I want to say most famous Claire is maybe the way I want to say it, the over dramatized Claire, the Claire that everybody talks about in, yeah, like in, movies and, social media is clairvoyance, right? And that's
Yep.
really just the idea of clear seeing. It's seeing with the third eye. And when we talk about the third eye, a lot of times that deals with mental imagery, pictures, and some people that can look like um, snapshots that can look like, oh my God, I think I see a red ball in my mind's eye. But a lot of times it's inner mind visions. Now, there are some people who do allow that clairvoyance to bridge outside and it's physical sight when people start talking about like shadows out of the corner of the eye or dark entities or something they may see, and it's good to know
Energetic.
that grandma, yeah, it's good to know that grandma, coming from a person who is a medium, it's good to know that grandma can also appear sometimes as a dark shadow in your hallway. So don't scare yourself, you know what I mean,
Don't,
don't freak out. But a
don't
lot of
freak out.
times a lot of times when it physically starts bridging, for that, it will be that clear seeing. The next one, I feel like a lot of people automatically are common hearing as clairaudience, right? So
Yes.
that's clear hearing. I feel though that this is a huge misconception with the clairaudience is that it can look more and be more than just I can hear you like you hear me now, right? Like a lot of
Correct.
times when people,
Yes.
yeah, when people start talking, especially with mediumship, and they go, "Oh, I'm talking to your grandmother, I'm talking to your husband," or a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, you can hear them." And for some people, it is a direct conversation like this. And for others, it may not be so verbatim words all over the place, right? Like I'm talking to keys, like you're listening to me talk right now. Like a lot of the times it's in the mind. You can hear
Yes.
the voice, it can come
Yes.
over like grandpa or uncle, whatever's voice, and it'll have their tone, their whatever. But sometimes it can also sound like you. Sometimes it can be
Correct.
your inner monologue voice. And that's where sometimes people get confused with the delineation between what's my voice, what's not my voice. And for the select few who don't hear it inside the mind and the headspace, and they actually do hear auditory sound, like as if someone's whispering in their ear or in their ear canal, sometimes people will be like, I feel like it's in my left ear, or I feel like it's in my right ear. Like
Yes.
it can have that difference. You know what I
The
mean?
tone sound sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, and it's just knowing yourself and how diverse and how your abilities have grown and what stage of progression you may be on as to what works well best with yourself. But those I would say are the two like over glorified, like well known of the clairs, but that's only two out of seven. So if we really keep going, you know what I mean? We have clairsentience, which is clear feeling. But a lot of people get this confused with um like clear empathy. Now, clairsentience deals with feeling. So it can look like something so simple as like cold chills, goosebumps. They're like physical body feelings. They're physical vessel tingles and these types of things. And for some people who do have the ability to perceive energy, sometimes they kind of go together with empathy because it looks sometimes like physical body pains, like, oh my God, my back, my knee. Are you having knee problems or this? Or a past person is like, you may feel some of these things. But the key with clairsentience is it's also your gut feeling. It's a
Yes.
physical gut butterfly. It's a gut pull. It's a gut, you know, tingle. It's like, oh, I feel that right in my tummy. Like, and a lot of people, I feel like, try to get that confused with like your knowing. And those are actually two separate things when we talk about clairs. When you're having the physical sensations, that's your clairsentience. You know what I mean? Like, that's your feeling.
Well, it's no, it's also like the not knowing, not that, but like knowing that when it hits you like that, sometimes when you're flooded with the like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna cry, and it's not yours, you're perceiving that as a feeling.
And it's a lot, yeah, and a lot of times it's like you literally just said, it's the feeling behind it.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
you have a physical body feeling, a sensation behind what you're picking up on. That's
Correct.
clairsentience. Now, as we bridge into, like you just said, the knowing,
My favorite.
claircognizance. One of like literally your favorite, your go-to. It's claircognizance. It's that's clear knowing. That's the true, honest, clear knowing. You have no evidence. You have
No,
no you have no signs. You have no body tingles. You have no reason to know what you know. You have no reason to pick up what
you
you pick
just
up.
know it.
You just know it. There's that faith that has to come in with that. And you're like, I
Yeah.
don't know why I know this. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm just telling you, I have this inner whatever that is not a physical body sign. Like when we say I don't know why I know, I just know. That that is it. That is your clear cognizance. That is the clear knowing. I can't explain it. I'll never be able to explain it. There's no way around it. Just boom, this is what it is.
Seriously, the one that will I say this being funny because it's literally like my favorite Claire, but it's the one that will make you feel like you're crazy sometimes because you just know. And I'm somebody who's like, this is the hill I'm gonna die on. I don't have any facts. I don't have any this. It's just this. It will take over. The way I would describe it is it literally is every fiber of your being, your energetic light body. It just sends off everything at once. And you're like, it just hits you.
All right. So that's claircognizant, but we still have three more, right? Now we briefly bridged empathy, right? And it gets confused a lot with clairsentience, and they kind of go together just a little bit. And the empathy is more clear emotion, where the other one's feeling, right? So I like to think about empathy more of being like when you're dealing with others, but it's a difference because you're not feeling the feeling as a physical body sensation. So the easiest example that I always love to give is clear empathy being like you walk into work or something and you walk into a room and you're like, "Oh, I can feel the tension and I can feel like someone just had an argument in this room. It feels like angry energy, right?"
Yes.
The kicker is though is that you yourself don't feel tense and you yourself don't feel angry, but you have the awareness that this deals with somebody else outside of you and that this is what I'm picking up on, but it's not influencing your physical you know what I mean? It's not influencing your physical energy in the body to be like,
It's
I'm
not
angry now because
manifesting
I
that
stepped in.
physical feeling kind of way. It's the awareness kind of the label we give an emotion, like you just said.
Yep,
So you can feel you know what I mean? You walk in and it's like the energy, not you, but the energy feels tense. The way you walked in the room and it hit your energetic field or your energetic body is what you're processing that specific Claire as, versus, you know, like you said before, the in your stomach, the tingles, the whatever, you know, whatever else it is manifesting as that awareness. This is the awareness of the emotion, and then we have given it, you know, the human label: anger, hatred, you know, upset, turmoil, whatever. But it's that
exactly.
awareness hits you, that energy hits your energy, is the way I like to think about it.
No, exactly. Exactly. So it kind of goes a little bit like we said with the clear feeling, because after you get that, you may then, you know what I mean, with bad energy practices, or maybe you're not that great with it, you could adopt energy that's not yours. And then you may feel angry, you may feel whatever. But if we were to separate the two, which I highly suggest people do, you know,
Yes.
for their own energetic,
It
you know,
is
hygiene.
everything.
Yeah. So like that. So they go together, but they are separate. One deals with feelings and one deals with emotions. And you know, me and you both define feelings and emotions differently, right?
Correct.
So the
Absolutely.
the last two are um less talked about, and one for sure I know people probably don't even consider. But they're still very important. And a lot of times, the people who don't think they have abilities probably have these two. And this is why it's so fun, because we over glorify, like I said, clairvoyance, clairaudience, like all these other things. But the next one is clairalience. And I may be saying it wrong because pronunciation's hard, but it's clear smelling. So a lot of times, a lot of people will experience it after they've lost a really close loved one, like all of a sudden you're walking through your house and I smell grandma's perfume. Why do I smell grandma's perfume? Or grandpa used to smoke a pipe and I can smell the tobacco. It's the
Mhm.
phantom smells that you can't explain, that aren't actually arriving from any one location, any one source, but they initiate like that you're just like, what in the world was that? Like, it's very underrated.
Not me
It's
calling you
very
like, I'm smelling this. What is this? I am smelling this, and like I can't stop smelling this. And I'm searching my house and it will not go away. And it's only in one area of my house.
Well, like, and that's the thing, and it's so interesting because the people who think that they don't have abilities are usually the people who I feel like get the phantom smells the most. They'll be like, "Well,
Yeah.
I don't have any abilities, but I did the other day smell, you know, this in my house." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, I don't know." And you're just like, "What in the world?" But that's really the truth. It's the phantom smells that you can't really explain, but that you know that are so whatever because they trigger a memory. And that's really their purpose. It's one, to
That's
stop
their
you in your
significator.
tracks. Like, yeah, it's to stop you in your tracks to go, I know I just smelled that. And then the other part of it is like it usually triggers, because people don't realize this, your smell is directly linked with your memory. So a lot of times when people like, you know, if your I don't know, if your grandma used to make chocolate chip cookies with raisins, that has a particular smell. You walk in the house and someone starts baking that recipe, you go, oh, and you get a whiff of that and you go, oh my God,
It's a
grandma
core
used to bake
memory.
these, and it just pulls right on your memory, right? That a lot of times that's the point. But so that is one that deals with clear smelling, right? The last one out of seven is clair gustance. It's clear tasting. And I think that this one goes completely off the radar, but a
Yes.
lot of people, yeah, it's your taste buds. Now, it could look like something super crazy. Like you're just sitting here, you're like, why? And like your mouth starts watering. You're like, why do I literally feel like I have physical mouth sensations that I've just eaten? Like I always tell people, like ice cream. Like I just eat ice cream. My mouth feels cold. I feel like I can taste the ice cream on my tongue. Why is that making sense to me? I have no ice cream around me and I wasn't eating. Like that's a super easy one. But the one that may look more common to the people, like I said, who don't think they have abilities, it's physically like if you're sitting on your sofa and you're watching TV and a pizza commercial comes on and you're just like bloop bloop watching the commercial and then all of a sudden you're like, I can taste that pizza. I can taste it. I physically feel the warm pizza on my tongue. I can taste the gravy. I can taste like all of this stuff. Gravy's pizza sauce. Great gravy, pizza sauce. If you're not Italian and didn't grow up as me, it's pizza sauce, right? So like I can taste the pizza sauce, I can taste the cheese, like I like and physically having those inner mouth sensations, your taste buds are on fire, you're hot and cold inside the like oral cavity, like starts going haywire. Like that's your Claire Gustins, you know?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I just feel like as we bridge into what everyday abilities would look like, we might as well go over the Clairs because that's typically when people think abilities, that's what they think of. Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website www.childofbalance.com. Right now, we're running a special. Using coupon Dueling My Shadow 50, it is 50% off of dual shadow work healing spaces. That's an hour and a half session, sitting down with both myself, Miss Keys, and our teams, our glorious teams, to help you work through some shadow work. And it makes it $10 cheaper than a normal one-on-one session. It's not about the money, fam. It's about the healing. It's about the help. It's about the purpose. It's about the people. It's about the community. Dueling My Shadow 50. Good through the end of May 2024. So if you want a one-stop shop for private spaces, spiritual guidance and assistance, mediumship, mentorship, private readings, shadow work assistance, it's all there. If you are looking for a free tree of knowledge where you can learn esoteric wisdoms, breath work, you can learn about yourself, cultures, spiritual hygiene, spiritual practices, spiritual traditions, and you can just learn about almost anything under the sun spiritual for 100% free, check out the website. And you should become a member. If you're not already a member, www.childofbalance.com. It's 100% free. It'll never cost you money. We would never charge you money. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com. But I just think that there's such a misconception, and that we hear it all the time, dude. Like, we hear people like, oh, I just don't have abilities.
But see, the thing is, it's not that you don't have them, it's that you don't trust them. And that kind of pairs like with having an expectation of how it's supposed to look. Because like we talk about so often, you have to trust in yourself when it comes to your abilities, because that's where the foundation lies in any ability. Because if you are seeking for something outside of yourself or somebody to validate your abilities, you are literally demonstrating a lack of trust within self. I know one of the easiest things that you and I talk about in our space is kind of like those intuition pains. Like
Right.
that's one of the first things that are like energetic red flags. They kind of go hand in hand. Those are the things that they hit your field. They get your attention. This happens literally every day to people. But if you go back and you start thinking about it, think back to the earliest time somebody may have discredited a feeling you had that was really your intuition, or that, you just thought something was off with somebody, or, I mean, as simple as like, you're getting ready to leave for work and you're like, I need to wait a minute. And you don't even know why. You're just like, I just need to wait a minute. Or you get detoured and you're like irritated for a minute, but then you're like, 2 seconds later, you realize, you listen to your intuition. You knew it might make you late, but you listened to the intuition ping, right? You took a little bit of a
Right.
detour out of your way to work only to find out that there was a horrible car accident. And because you listened to your intuition, you're not one stuck in traffic. You may have missed the accident, but something pinged you and you listened. That is an everyday ability that people overlook all the time. Or, again, with the energetic red flags, when you just know something is off, when it hits your energy and you're asked to kind of, I call an energetic red flag. Like sometimes when you want to say something and then, your team, your guides, your intuition is telling you, shut your mouth. And all you know is shut your mouth. And you almost kind of like, when you're new with your abilities or don't realize something is an ability, you almost have this like back and forth conversation in your head for a second where you're like, but no, like I should say something. But you're literally being asked not to, because something is going to unfold to show you exactly why you were supposed to be quiet. That's literally one of my favorites for myself when we talk about that, is being like, I'm a really honest person, sometimes brutally honest and very bluntly honest. And
Right.
one of the first times I got that ping to literally shut my mouth, it was the hardest thing for me to do, because I'm like, I really feel like I need to speak my piece. And then I'm like, no, okay, just trust the process. Does the process know we're trusting it? Again, it's rooted in that trust again, right? Because it's like, okay, this is so intense. I know I need to listen. So again, you got to trust the process. You got to trust what is coming into you, because it's literally that simple. You are utilizing abilities every day, whether you're at work and you get a ping, you get a red flag tossed, you get them at the grocery store, you get them with your partners or your family. And it's just those things when you kind of take a pause. I always call it harnessing the pause, right? But you're harnessing the pause after something hits your energetic field. And that's what people downplay to me the most when they say, well, I don't have any abilities. No, you don't trust what's coming in, because somewhere along the way, you've been discredited, which I think, I don't want to bridge too sideways, but that's one of the biggest reasons, in our personal spaces where we work with people, working on your shadow work first helps your abilities so much, because when you realize a lot of your trust in your confidence in your this in your that is rooted in wounds, trauma, past toxic behaviors, this and that, you're not giving yourself a fair shot, because you've got to balance those things. You have to have confidence in yourself to believe in your abilities. You have to learn to, again, to trust yourself. I know I sound like a broken record, but that is literally the foundation of all of it. And so it's so important on this spiritual journey that you can acknowledge and have an awareness that you have these abilities, but in order to like bring them online in a way that you can really harness and utilize, you can't skip over certain aspects of healing, because they're paired so directly with your abilities.
Well, and just there's a part of trust that I think that sometimes it's a learning experience. Sometimes you need to prove to yourself, right, in the physical that you can trust yourself, right? You can trust what you get, you can
100%.
trust what you're picking up on. And sometimes the best way to literally do that, it's like almost doing it in reverse. You're like showing yourself physically that you can trust yourself so that when it happens again later on, you go, oh, well, this was right last time. The easiest way that I tell people they can do that is start believing that there are no coincidences, because there aren't. There
Yes.
are none. You didn't just bump into somebody for no reason. Somebody didn't say something to you for no reason. And I feel like this is when we say, like, there are no coincidences. Like, you say it all the time, and I know I do as well. Like, don't shoot a messenger. And I just
Yeah.
feel like that goes in with trust. And because when you
Correct.
start talking about just like just even just a little example like the ping that you were saying, if like you were just talking about like if you meet somebody and you're just like, I
Yep.
don't know why I don't like this person, but I just feel like
Something's
maybe they're
off.
that's not it. Like something's weird. I'm gonna just take a seat of the observer, like we always say. Like I'm just gonna see how this plays out. And then
Yep.
boom, all of a sudden, I don't know, Kyle from whatever hits you up, and all of a sudden the conversation just happens to drift to this person that you were like, I don't know about this person. And then all of a sudden Kyle's over here telling you some story that is like you said, red flag, I don't like this, not okay, and it just further backs up what you just said about your intuition ping, about being like, I knew this before I had proof that something was wrong and I didn't like it. Right? That's somebody's energy coming into contact with your energy and you being like, I don't like the way this feels. Something feels off. I
Mhm.
don't know why. I don't know what's going on. You may not be able to break it down as to what Claire is going on, what, like, you don't need any of that. It's just
No.
the idea that, like, something's not right. And if you take that, like you said, that purposeful pause and be like, I'm gonna see how this plays out. We'll see what happens. And then you get sent a messenger to confirm what you know what I mean? But if you were to sit there and be like, nope, disbelief, right? And just keep cutting it down, and just telling yourself you're crazy, that's not right, or whatever. And basically, like you said, shutting yourself off before you even before you even get started. Like, even if that messenger came, you may have shot him down and be like,
Yep.
how rude of you to do, like, right? Because you're already telling yourself that you can't be correct.
But you're 1,000% right with the don't shoot any messenger because and you just again hit the nail on the head with the there are no coincidences. I 1,000% firmly believe that because we are literally divinely guided, divinely placed. Nobody that comes in our life is a mistake. And see, sometimes people can't see past the emotional response or emotional wound or trigger or whatever label you want to give it that a person can elicit in them that then they unintentionally shoot a messenger. It could be something as simple as like you asked for a sign, right? Like just give me an undeniable sign, right? And
Right.
you choose the sign, right? Because that's how it works when you're like learning to trust yourself. You make things so specific that but you got to make it real specific. And that's why I said, because you can't shoot a messenger. Because it could be like, well, give me a word or give me a color or give me a, it's just, but it has to be super specific, right? If
Right.
you shoot the messenger, right? And you don't, your emotions, your triggered energetic response doesn't like somebody or you had a previous bad interaction with somebody and they literally are the messenger who's going to bring you the confirmation or the word or the this or the that and you shut them down because you're stuck, sorry, I'm just going to say like you're stuck in the past, like you're stuck on something stupid is the way I want to say it.
But you're
You're
also stuck in ego. You're stuck in
yes.
ego. You're stuck in
Yep.
judgment as to
Yes.
who or what the messenger is. And I'm going to be
Yes.
honest, when it goes
Yep.
to divine energy, source, creator, oneness type of energy, they will send you unlikely messengers on
Yep.
purpose to see if you're deserving of receiving the message.
Correct. No, I stand with that 1,000% because that's the thing sometimes. And the thing is, it's our ego that labels somebody as an enemy or an adversary or any of that. That is our ego. We are triggered by something about that person, whatever it is, whether we're consciously aware or not aware at all. It's in our subconscious, but we're giving somebody that label. We're giving them a title, essentially giving our power away and acting like they've got some kind of, control or hold on us, right? But I 1,000% agree with you. Spirit, God, creator, universe will literally send you people to see how you're going to react. Because sometimes that biggest test we talk about, I can't even remember who the quote is, but it's how you handle those who mishandle you. And that's the thing. That's sometimes your test. And if you react or project or come across it in a way where you have gotten yourself off balance, you could literally miss something that spirit like literally dropped in your lap, brought to your doorstep, shooting the gift horse in the mouth. I mean, you can give it so many different labels, but that's literally it. In a world where people want to call people, karmics and adversaries and this and that, a karmic is your teacher. We are all each other's teachers, and we all stand to gain experience, if nothing else, from every engagement we have with another person.
And it's just like, kind of going back a little bit to what you were just talking about messages and messengers just in general. The other side that I think that we see that come to us, at least I know to me, I've had in private spaces where people are like, I'm being bombarded. Like, I feel like my head's on fire and I feel like I'm being bothered by spirits, entities, whatever. And I'm going to be really honest, that is the end result of ignoring a ton of little signs. And that's why I think that this topic is so important, because ignoring signs, ignoring abilities, because they were just out, maybe out of your realm of awareness or whatever, that energy builds up and then the energy can get overwhelming. So sometimes, especially in the beginning, you will be given a plethora and you won't even realize how many signs you were truly given, how many times your abilities were pinged throughout your lifetime before somebody slapped a label on it and go, oh, that's your abilities, right? So sometimes I just think that it's like they're going to do as much and make the circus as big as possible, is the way that I think about it, to get your attention. So if you have to wait till level 14 before it, like your brain kicks in and goes, oh my God, someone's trying to get my attention. Something's trying to get my, oh, I see it now, right? And then other people will see it when the circus is like 4 instead of 14. So it's
Yeah.
very different, but I think it really just comes down to knowledge, and it comes down to, realizing that it's the if you catch the little signs, then there's no need for them to overwhelm you with a large circus, with large chaos, with large bugging energy, with large whatever. You know what I mean? And a lot of times as people, just flash forward, a lot of times as people develop, what happens is the sign get and the images, the pings to the clairs, and all this crazy, this big circus they had to put on to get one simple thing across. The circus will get smaller, but the depth of information will increase. So,
Yes.
especially when we talk right before we get into like what everyday abilities can look like, right? Like, it's just important to know that, especially when you deal with, I'm going to speak from my mediumship side, like in the beginning, and I know a lot of people who experience, mediumship as an ability and, talking with things that have walked the earth before, right? You may see shadows in your hallway. You may be getting bugged, poked, pushed at the middle of the night. You may be having crazy vivid dreams when you're trying to communicate with somebody who's passed. You may be getting images and you're like, oh my God, it was like this whole movie scene and I could see all of this stuff. And then the more you start doing it, they don't need to spend so much excess energy giving you a vivid movie scene with all the details and all of this. Sometimes they literally just need to be like, Tuesday in your ear, and you're like, oh, Tuesday, because you trust yourself. They don't need to then show you a calendar and show you a person and a
Yeah.
and a pen circling the date on the calendar. Like, they may still do those things, but if you can trust when the energy, the sign, the glare, the ping, or whatever is giving you minimal information, it reserves more energy for you to receive a depth of information in a shorter amount of time. So when people are developing, a lot of times they'll be like, I had all these crazy experiences. That's beautiful and great within itself. But as you develop, you'll realize your crazy experiences may lessen in the day to day. You're still going to have, like, let's be honest, you're still going to have one or two crazy experiences. You're going to be like, what? That came out of left field, right? But like in the day to day, when you're just flexing your abilities, you're just practicing, you're just
Yes.
living your life with abilities, because let's be honest,
nine out of 10 people do have abilities. They just don't realize they're categorized as abilities. And that's why we're doing this. So it's like when you're just living life with your abilities, they don't need to be on level 14. They
No.
can be a level 2, but if you trust yourself, like you talked about, you don't shoot the messenger, you're willing to accept what you get and continue forward and not harp on it. Sometimes it's leaving it alone. As much as I may not like that answer, as much as other people may not like that answer, sometimes it's leaving it alone. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just like trusting what you get and being like, okay. And you'll realize that it'll develop from there and it won't take as much circus to get the clowns to pay attention. And that's the way that I think about it sometimes because it's the truth. Like, and I've noticed it in my own
Mhm.
practice and the people that I've helped with abilities, like just a couple months that we've been, like open and doing this sort of thing, like it's entirely the truth. But I just figured like when we start thinking about these things, it would be good to make it more common day. And let's take it away from the over glorified, over glamified, what you may see on movies or television, or even just like celebrities. They may over embellish, or the people
Yeah.
who are doing it in more of a glorified ego-y kind of a state where they're encapsulated with how it may make them look or one way or another because there's a lot of small things that you have in your everyday for the person who goes, I don't have abilities. I can't find many people like I don't have abilities like you. Chances are you do because chances are you do because at one
Yeah.
point or another, we all thought we were weirdos. At one point or another, we all thought that we didn't have abilities, and we always had somebody who we were like, "Oh my God, I wish I could be like you." Like, and then all of a sudden, you wake up one day and you're like, I think I'm just the same person I thought I like." You know what I mean? Like that I looked up to when I was 6 or when I was 14,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh wow, I'd love to do that." And then I'm sit here sometimes and I'm like, "Am I doing it?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't realize how things progress. You know? So I just thought it would be cool to kind of go through like your everyday abilities and some examples of what they might look like that you're
Yeah.
downplaying and you just go, oh, well, I didn't know that was an ability. I just thought that was, a coincidence. There are no coincidences. So
There are
throw
no
that
coincidences.
out of throw that out. There are no
Like,
coincidences.
you know what? But like
And
that's actually like a phenomenal starting point. Like literally. If you are looking to like work on yourself, remove that sentence and that
yep,
word from your vocabulary. Start by, because you have to believe in yourself. Like I said, you have to believe in yourself. You have to trust in yourself. So that means removing things like the word coincidence from your vocabulary because you either believe in coincidence or you believe in divine guidance and divine protection and all of those type of constructs. And that's again whatever you choose to believe, but you kind of can't hold opposing viewpoints when it comes to working these spiritual muscles, as I want to call them, but these, you know what I'm saying, like when you're trying to, like you said, flex and just live with your everyday abilities, you have to start literally looking at everything in your life through a different lens.
that's where working on yourself, like you talked about, just to go back before we go forward, like that's where shadow work comes in. Like I tell people all the time, you need to get right with yourself because then you trust what you get. Then you'll pick up on what you get. Like I can't say that, oh, I totally believe that Erin can talk to dead people, right? Like that Keys can talk to dead people. And I totally believe that when she gets a guttural ping, she's 100% correct. But it doesn't work for me. Nope. Like that concept of that is possible in my reality and it works for everybody else, but when I get it, it doesn't work. That is a conflicting belief because either it does work or it doesn't. And if you're saying it
Correct.
applies to other people, then that construct, that concept, that belief system, if it's present in your reality, has to has to also be present within yourself. It
Yeah.
has to be a possibility. Even if you
You have to
choose not
stop
to
seeing
believe
that.
that, like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like you can't say that, oh yeah, like, and the thing that we always do, and I hear you say it all the time, especially when we go live, like you're like, you can't be like, my intuition works for others, but it doesn't work for me. So when
Yes.
someone comes to you with advice and you're like, oh, and then I was 100% spot on with Kathy, but when it comes to my own life, I'm a wreck. No, that's not how that works. Like that's a
Correct.
self-trust thing that you should go back and figure out why you don't believe it when you get the shit you do about yourself. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like, and you
But
have to
you
be
like
at a
you
point of
nailed
being
it.
like, that's a me problem. You have to be at a point of being like, that's a me problem. I got to work on me. That's a me problem, you know?
Yep. But that's what I
And
said. You
just,
nailed it with the possibilities. If you hold a belief about abilities and you are interacting with people that you believe have abilities and you understand that, I'm going to say it this way, that there's infinite timelines, there's infinite possibilities. Why is the possibility not available to you? Again, that's a confidence thing. That's your
that's a
self-worth.
self-worth thing. Yep.
That's
Yep.
literally a self-worth thing. You somehow think you're less than and you couldn't be as good as somebody else. And that's, again, I'm going to keep going back to it, even though I know that's not like what we're doing. That is why working on yourself is so important. Because the thing is, it is an investment in yourself because you don't trust yourself. Like, it's that simple. You don't trust yourself and you're looking for guidance. And when you find the right people to help guide you, because that's the thing, no one is going to fix you. First of all, you're not broken. Nobody's
Yep.
going to fix you. You're here to learn how to love, take care of, trust, believe, and experience life and yourself, period. So that's the thing. You have to do that work. Otherwise, you are literally going to spend time. And I'm going to say some people will spend endless amounts of money for other
Yep.
people to tell them something that they literally just need to believe in themselves for.
And
It
this is
is,
why I love this, but this is literally why I love that we're doing this topic and why we're about to get into some commonplace everyday examples that
yeah,
Joe Schmo could get into, because it really does sit in the frequency, the vibration, the energy, which is the literal language of the universe, energy, that you are the magic.
yes,
Nobody is the magic for you. Nobody waves a magic wand and all of a sudden, boom, you have to do nothing. You have to do no self work. You have to do no self concept. You have to do no healing. No, no, that's bullshit. And anybody who tells you that they can wave a magic wand and they can unlock all of your abilities and they can unlock all of this, no, because guess what? Even if I did, poof, fairy godmother your ass, right? And unlock all of your chakras, align your chakras, and we're like, you now have the ability to do all the seven clairs with zero hindrance. If you don't trust a single motherfucking thing that you get, it doesn't matter if you're getting told the world's going to collapse. It doesn't matter if you're getting told that your car's going to have a flat tire. It doesn't matter if you're talking to grandma or Uncle Eddie who died 10 years ago. You're not going to believe you. So in your reality, it's not a thing and you going to think you crazy. So it
mm-hmm,
is entirely important, that it's like you got to do that work. What I mean, you have to do the work.
yeah,
Energy is fantastic. When you do shadow work, when you do all these things, it can clear up energetic pathways. And that's why we truly suggest, before we get into our fun everyday examples, that's why we truly suggest that anybody who thinks they want to work on abilities, work on yourself first, work on your healing journey first, because as you clear out your chakras, as you unblock, get out the road blockages, whatever you want to call it, get the stagnant energy moving within the light body. What you're
yes,
doing is you're quickening the roads and you're taking the cones, the traffic cones away. You're taking the stop signs out of your channels, your meridians, your so that your prana, your chi, your life force, your energy, your kundalini, your chakras, all this can flow freely. And that's what you
yeah,
want. And when all these things can flow freely and you do the work on chakras, you do the self work, you do a lot of self healing, and it's different for everybody because everyone has different problems, issues, and experiences. Even if
yes,
you just clear up it up by half, you're going to have a lot more, and I believe in this, and that's why we teach it. You're going to have a lot easier time, and you're going to be less agitated, less irritated, less frustrated when you go to work with your abilities because they're going to be flowing faster, smoother, and chances are you're going to trust what you get a whole lot more because you
yep,
had to learn to trust yourself first in all aspects of everything. And you'll notice that your natural abilities will start to come online. So people who are like, I don't have any abilities, the second they start healing their trauma, and they're like, "Oh my God, I think I'm seeing shadows." Oh, you mean your abilities? Oh, I think, oh my God, my dreams are kicking in into overdrive. I'm getting vivid. Oh, your abilities.
your
Like, and it's
abilities.
like there are no coincidences. You are energy in a vessel. You have always been the light body. You have always been, if you were sitting here listening to this podcast, you're not an NPC, you're not some stand-in, you're not some person who
Mm.
doesn't go round and round. If you are in these topics and you are listening to this podcast, chances are you will go around her. You an old soul. You come around again. You have another lifetime, at least one that you've lived on this planet. You know what I mean? Or other planets or dimensions or whatever realities. So it's like when you start coming here, you got to remember you're the energy, not the vessel. You're always the energy, not the vessel. So your energy
1000%.
is limitless. Your energy has limitless potential. Your energy has no bounds. You are connected. You are source energy. You are oneness. You are interconnected to all things. So if you think that Molly standing next to you, who's your soul fam, your miss, your lady, your sister, your homie, if she can do that shit and you can't, but you guys have gone around for 10 lifetimes, you're full of shit. And we need to sit down and figure out why you think you full of shit. Like, because there ain't no way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's just no way. So, like, that's why I just think it's fun. We're about to get into some like everyday, examples of what the person who I'm gonna say the untrained person. That's the way I want to say it. The person who's like, I don't have abilities. I've never been professionally trained. I've never really tried to work on them. I don't take clients. I don't, just the Joe Schmo who's a teacher, a bus driver, works at the store, a retail, a waitress, right? Like your everyday fucking blue collar person, you know, might experience that you might not realize are actually your abilities at play because we're taught that that's not what that is because things are over glorified, you know?
Mhm.
Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website www.childofbalance.com. For those of you who truly appreciate handmade products, we have a handmade shop. Everything is made to order, blessed, saged, and sent out as quick as possible. We have anything from handmade sounds for meditation to chakra chain macrames to tree of life macrames with inlaid crystals to herbal blends like bath teas and dump and go specials to road opener mixes to kits and oils and so much more. For those of you who enjoy taking spiritual classes and courses but maybe can't fit it into your busy schedule, we have self-study courses and everything can be found in the handmade shop. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com.
So I know Keys, I'm gonna throw it to you, but you always talk about what the mind's eye might look like to the average person.
Yeah. So, your mind's eye, that's one of my favorites as well. But, when your vision space starts to kind of come online, it's not always clear images first. Sometimes it's just I want to call it a really quick snapshot. And it almost comes in like, when you think of like, now I'm going to age myself here for a minute, a Polaroid camera, like literally when it first starts to come online, it's like a Polaroid camera. And you know how, you would take your Polaroid and then you would kind of like wave it back and forth as you're trying to get it to like develop faster.
Which you're
So
not supposed to do.
yeah, you're not supposed to do that, but we all did it. All of us people who
Right,
get very,
right. Yes, we did. We
yeah,
did. We did.
mind you, I'm older than you. Respect your elders, man.
You're not supposed to do that, but we all did it because we were impatient as fuck. We're
Yeah,
like,
because we're all
develop
impatient.
faster.
But that's kind of how it first starts to come in. You aren't gonna get just like, and I'm really gonna regret this example that I'm about to give next. But what was the freaking TV show? Oh, my kids used to watch it. That's So Raven, like where she had that vision space where she'd get like a whole like scenario from the future. right? Like that's kind of like the unrealistic expectation when something's going to come in. When you're just starting that, like I said, it's almost grainy, it's almost a little bit blurry, but you can make out like, oh, there's a figure here, or oh, there's this. And then as it progresses, I'm gonna age myself again, you've got like the old movie projectors where, and when I say this, it's like at the end of the big wheel of film where
Like
it,
the 8 millimeters.
it's, yeah, and it's like going really quick, and it's almost like that carousel of images, or that toy that you used to look in when you were a kid, and you slid the slider on the side and it had the discs and it would show you the pictures. It will come slowly at first, and you may only remember bits and pieces sometimes. And you said it earlier, but I really, in that vision space, it starts out as just an awareness. And I don't know any other way to impress that upon people, but so often it can be like, did I just see that? Like, did I just get an image in my mind's eye of something? You're having an awareness and an experience because it's going to grow. You don't need to worry about what comes next. So often that's one of the biggest things in misconceptions and excuse me, the beginning of your abilities coming online. Okay,
Right.
so what do I need to do next? Sometimes it's just to show you that you're working something. You've unblocked, like you said, opened up a pathway. You're now getting to experience things differently. So sometimes it's to enjoy what you just got and not worry about what's next. Because again, they're kind of like preparing you to continue on with this ability. If you freak out or you think you missed something, there it is again. It's not, you got to be rooted in that trust, and that, what I'm getting also doesn't need to look like somebody else's. That is such an important part of like this misconceptions here. Like I said, when that vision space starts to come in, you might explain it to somebody else and they may be like, well, I get really clear images. Okay, well, their ability may have been online for them for way longer than you. And sometimes we can even forget what it looked like when it first came in because we've experienced it at such a different level. So, like I said, it starts out as that almost grainy Polaroid picture that's not fully developed. Then it moves into like the one or two, three images, but they're really slow. Like you're almost like, is this moving in slow motion? Is literally how I want to say it. They're purposefully not overloading you. Now, like Erika said earlier, you ignore it enough because you're discrediting yourself, they're going to bombard you with it. It's going to start going on like rapid
Yep.
reel and just flashing in front of your eyes. But it's literally like movie clips. It's not also always in color. It can be that like, oh, I can't
Black
even
and
think of
white.
it. Can be black and white, but I also want to tell you it's almost that like,
Septia or whatever.
yes, like in the Wizard of Oz when Miss Gulch is riding her bike, and it's like,
Yeah.
sorry, that's like the best example I could think of because that's what was just flashing in my head. But it's like where she's riding and it's like, the twisters coming, but it's that real grainy, like tannish brown. It's not quite black and white. It can come in all those different ways. So that's the thing. But sometimes it's just that an image. It's just this. And it's nothing else other than a single image. And then over time, it gets built on more and more and more. So the thing
And
is, you're
like,
not necessarily missing something.
well, then like, and the like most commonplace example I have for people who don't realize that they're playing, and I say playing because it should be fun, playing with your seer sight ability is the way that I say it, is when someone's telling you a story. I can't tell you how many times people don't
Yeah.
realize that if you have a well-developed or maybe a naturally innate seer sight ability, you will probably have a lot of things. You will probably have dreams and you can recall your dreams. And they may be the wildest, craziest dreams you've ever seen, or you may see your past relatives in your dreams, or you may even have the beginnings of cognitive, like premonition-y kind of dreams. But the fun part with the seer sight thing that people don't realize is it works with your creativity. It works with also your memory
1000%.
and it works with your recall. So the more you can absorb knowledge, the more that source, spirit, entities, energy has to pull from to help assist in creating like ties, pings, energies, and things that you can deal with. So sometimes, like the things that you might see might be really weird. You might start seeing random flashes of Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and you're like, why is this randomly popping into my head? And then all of a sudden, you realize that the person you're talking to, just went to go see the last Pirates of the Caribbean, and then they start talking to you about it. Like, or the other way that I like to say it is kind of the fun flip side. Someone goes, I have to tell you a story. And all of a sudden they start telling you something that happened. You're like, there's this guy with this truck who pulled up my driveway. And then all of a sudden your seer sight kicks on and you are envisioning the story that they are telling you. And yes, while that part of it does root in your imagination, especially if you are so like developed in the mind's eye and in the headspace that you can prolong a vivid scene, but the part where it really starts to, I think, bridge out of just, oh, I can picture what you're saying because I read books and I have a great developed like imagination, is when you can add to the person's story. And that's what I think is so interesting. People don't realize, oh, a truck pulled up my driveway, and you're like, was it a red truck? It 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 was. It was a red truck. Yeah, that's your seer sight ability. You're tapping into the energy of what they're telling you, so much so that you are envisioning it in your mind's eye so that you can lend information like did the truck have a dent? Did the guy have a beard? Like just the
Yeah.
weirdest things that you're like, I don't know. I can just see it in my head. Like I almost want to tell you, like
Yes.
he pulled out super fast, didn't he? Yeah, he ripped out of my driveway, almost hit my mailbox. Like, you know what I mean? And there's just like these little things, but that's tied into your seer sight. That's the
Yes.
same kind of a mind frame that ability would function in. So the ability to have that image in your mind is an everyday ability because as we slow down the cognitive function of our brain when we get into channeling and we slow it down into sleep state, beta or below, like theta, and even like, more into it, that's when the channeling happens. But we need to have that type of an ability developed while we're awake, our seer sight, our images, so that when we channel down and our waves, lessen, when we start channeling and stuff like that, things come in easier. So sometimes it's something as simple as that. You know what I mean? Just getting a random picture. And I tell people all the time, it doesn't have to be literal. My
No.
guys, my guys love to play metaphors. They love to play metaphors. Like, you know what I mean? They may show you something and they don't really mean like a white dove, right? Like a literal white dove's gonna hit you in the face. No, they might just be giving you that for a sign of peace. Like,
Yep.
and it could just be something so, simple like that, you know? And I just think that that's something that I think is easily overlooked. But one of my favorites, because I know you love Mind's Eye, and I do
Ye-
too when we talk about conversations and stuff like that. But one of my favorites is what I call the ESP tingle. And
Yes.
I know if you've heard me talk about this before, or you've hung around me or keys at all, like, and you're personally friends with me, like I'll be like, ESP is real. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
just keep saying ESP is real.
So
You know what I
real.
mean? And it's just it's the idea that you don't realize that that's part of your ability. Like your ESP tingle, as I
Mhm.
call it, is almost like if you're just, well, let's say you wake up, whatever, you do your morning routine, you're walking through your house, you're getting something ready, you're maybe baking breakfast or something like that, cooking breakfast, and all of a sudden you're just like, Tommy's on my mind. And I'm like, why is Tommy on my mind? That's so weird. And then all of a sudden your phone rings and Tommy's calling you. That is ESP tingle. It is actually an ability. Your energy, your feelers is sensing not only somebody who is close to you's energy approaching yours, but you could also potentially be so connected, whether you're soul tied, whether you're, just in each other's energy a lot to where it's almost like a commingling. You have energetic cords or stuff like that attached to where you are made aware of their decision making to where it would affect your energy. So when he decides to call you, right? So sometimes you can get those inklings, and that's actually an ability. And it could be something as as simple. Like I feel like people go, well, that never happens to me, so I must not have that. It can look a little different too. It can look like, I don't know why, but I was sitting at the library the other day and I was just trying to read a book and look at a book, and all of a sudden, I don't know, Tanya from work popped in my mind, and I just thought it was really weird. And then you go home, and all of a sudden, a day later, your mom calls you to tell you that, oh, I have some bad news about Tanya. Do you remember her? We used to work with her or whatever. Like she's in the hospital, not doing good. That's your ability. The fact that she pops into your mind, that's your ability. And then you go, what? When did that happen? Oh, it happened yesterday. And you're like, "Oh, I was at the library and she just popped in my head." That's your abilities. And that's how
percent. Yes.
that's how simple they can be, but I'm gonna be honest, our ego rejects that because it's not fun, it's not cool, and it's not something that is easily boasted about, right? So but when we talk about everyday things, a lot of people go through things like that to where you're
Yep.
just minding your business and you get random things. And me and you talk about it all times, like the things that pop in your head are purposeful. And I know
Yes.
you say it all the time, like there are no coincidences. And just take music, for example. My neuro spicy people, your brain's always going. Your brain never stops. From one neuro spicy to
Mhm.
another, your brain never stops. So how many times are you just minding your own business, talking to somebody on the phone, doing something, and all of a sudden some random song that you haven't heard in years, I mean years, bro, pops in your head. And it's
Yep.
just one part and it doesn't want to leave, right? And you're just sitting there and this thing's just playing and playing and playing. Go look it up. Please go look the lyrics
Yes.
up.
Please go look it up. Go.
There
Yes.
is a reason. There is a reason that song popped in your head. It could be your subconscious talking to you, but a lot of times it's your teams. A lot of
Yeah.
times it's your teams, it's source, it's, divine intervention. They're trying to pass along a message. And you will be surprised at how much you think you know a song until you go to look up the lyrics and you're like, how do I never remember this stanza where it says XYZ? And I sang this song when I was 15 for like 5 summers in a row. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much little things that I just feel like people don't really understand. Like, no, that's your abilities.
Yes. Correct. But that's why I said people overlook it, just like you said, because the ego doesn't think it's fun.
And that's where just that kind of self-work really just it's key. You know what I mean? So the next time that you think that I don't have abilities, I really encourage you to take a step back and see the idea of abilities from a completely different
Yeah.
level, from a completely different perspective. Because chances are you do, but you got to understand you've lived with your natural abilities your whole life. So let's take one step further. You've lived with your normal, because we're going to call it your normal, for your whole life. So
Correct.
the fact that, oh yeah, me and my best friends, I know when she's gonna call me every time she calls me, but it's always happened. That's your abilities, Mitch. Like that's it right there. That's your abilities. Like that's like it's that simple. It doesn't have to be hard. Like bitch, that's it. Like that's your abilities.
But
Like, but
we
it's
were
your
talking about this.
normal.
Yes. But we were talking about this the other day, and I have to impress this little piece on people with, there are no coincidences. And when you're discerning abilities or beginning to discern abilities, I'm somebody who, this is just a little story time and then I will be quiet. But I'm somebody who, like, I have had things, again, it kind of goes back to don't shoot the messenger. It's sometimes you just have to trust what you're given. There'll be more later on. There's no coincidences, right? I have been somebody who has been told things that I'm like, why do I need to know this? Like, first of all, they're just like the most off the wall things, right? And they're about somebody that, like, I know, but I don't have a personal relationship with in any way. And I'm like, why is this person who doesn't really know me literally dumping all of this to me? Like, and I always sit there and I'm like, now I go, oh, I get it now. But like back then, I would completely discredit the whole thing, right? Only to like flash forward 10 years later, I end up in a space with this said person that somebody gave me this information about a decade before. I mean, a decade before. And this person and I had a very close relationship. And it turned out everything I had been told came full circle 10 years later. And I was then a messenger to someone else. But where I'm going with that is there are no coincidences. I did not know 10 years ago that I would ever have a private, personal, interpersonal relationship with a person that I was given so much, I'm gonna call it messed up information about, messed up things that were done to said person, and just fuck shit, right? Because somewhere, some God, creator, spirit, universe knew that my path would cross something I could not see in my own present moment. But the thing is, you're not given things if it doesn't apply to you. That's all I really wanted to impress upon there. If it isn't going to impact you or impact somebody that is going to cross your path, that you are going to help, guide, be a messenger to, there is no logical reason for something. And the humanness in us discredits a lot of things because we're like, well, what is the logic here? And that's why I said, if I was in the present moment 10 years ago, which I was, I'm like, this person's nuttier than squirrel turds. Why would you tell anybody that you did these things to somebody? If I was friends with this person, I would probably say something because this is just so mind boggling, right? But I'm like, this person doesn't even like know I'm alive, like whatever. Only
Well,
to
and like,
realize divine intervention.
that bridges into something that we'll just talk about real quick is that, which we haven't touched on yet, is the people who just can't go anywhere without somebody sharing their whole life story to you. That's your
Yes.
abilities. I just want to
Yes.
let you know that that's your
Oh, yeah.
abilities. The fact that you can't walk into Kroger or Walmart without the man behind you or the woman but next to you telling you like diarrhea of the mouth, their whole life story when you didn't ask, you're just minding your own business. Or
Yes.
God forbid you made God forbid you made the mistake of smiling their direction or saying something that may have elicited a response like you wanted to have a conversation and then they just come out of left field with either
Yeah.
something that's been bothering them, something that is difficult in their life to get over, get past, deal with in one way, shape, or form, and they almost energy dump on you. That's your
Yeah.
healer ability. That's your
Yes.
healer ability. I know it's not technically in one of the clairs, but I call it your healer ability. It, it
Yes.
is it's literally the it's literally the frequency of your light body that
Yes.
lets the other person know based on how your energy interacts with them, whether they are aware of it or not, that they can trust you,
Yes.
that
You're
that
safe.
they can
You're safe.
unload and you will be
Yep.
able to handle it. And I'm
Yes.
telling you, it is wild. And if you were one of those people, like my heart goes out to you because that gets tiring sometimes. You're like, I just want to go into the store and not be noticed and not have everybody trying to tell me that like I have some crazy stories but we're not going to get into, but like it happens. And that's also an everyday ability because people will go their whole lives and never have that happen to them. I have
Correct.
friends who are like, that has never happened to me. And I'm like, it hasn't? It's never happened to you. Just no. And if you're someone who can make friends out of anybody and make friends anywhere, also your abilities.
Yes.
Also your abilities. It
Yep.
is. Because it's just one, and I'm gonna be honest, and typically the people who have abilities are the people who are friendly with everybody but friends with few. because
Yes.
you have the ability to be like,
Who has
oh
the
yeah,
ability
blah
to do
blah, and like shoot the shit, and then all of a sudden you're just like, and you just
that?
don't have many close friends. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a lot of it is with how you were raised and, some of the things that you need to unpack and your masks and your ego and your shadow. And, that's a whole separate topic. But like a lot of times those are markers for people who are naturally without excess, trying naturally in tune, naturally have abilities that are online, you know what I mean, that are present in their day to day because it's present in their energy. It's present in your auric field. So whether somebody can make sense of why they feel like they can trust you or not, the fact remains the same. Your energy is shouting, "You can trust me." So then people look at you and go, "I can trust her," and then they just and they dump. You know what I mean? And they don't
Yeah,
necessarily know that they're doing it on purpose. A lot, especially with someone you don't know. But it's one of
correct.
those things where that's an everyday ability that people
That
just
was a
don't talk
great
about.
example. No, that was like a fantastic example. I think a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I did not know that. That makes so much sense now."
Yeah. It's crazy, but you know what? There's a lot that we talked about today that I think just challenges a little bit of the way that you may just go around thinking of abilities because it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this grandiose stage of I'm a healer, I can save you, or I can talk to your dead person because it's like ghost, you know what I mean? You're gonna sit behind me and I'm gonna make a vase. Like, no, like it doesn't have to be like any of those things. But like it's just the common day the common day ability is really what I think needs to be taught more because people will realize their worth faster when they start to realize that your energy in a vessel and you're not the vessel itself. So it's like when you start taking into account your connection to things and how much you truly do bring to the table, how in tune you are, how much energy affects you, you know what I mean, and how much you are picking up on. For a lot of people that at least we work with, just the awareness of all those things makes day-to-day life easier because they start to realize discernment, what's mine, what's not, why this is happening. Whys are huge. People always want to understand why. You know what I mean? So sometimes
Yeah.
like the fact that like, oh, I just had this pop in my head. Why the hell did that pop in my head? Right. And they're going crazy over the why and they sit still for 40 minutes. It's the acceptance. So sometimes if we can just get past the acceptance of, oh, this is who I am, this is how my energy functions, this is how this functions, this is me, then it becomes your normal and then you live your life. You know what I mean? And that's the point. It's
Yes, that
living
was perfect.
everyday life with everyday abilities. It's not, making some crazy gesture. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing time, energy, and space with myself and Miss Keys, kind of going over some everyday abilities. Um, we appreciate you taking the time out, and we just hope that this gives you a little bit of a different idea when you either talk or think about abilities.
Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for listening in, tuning in. Thank you for joining us on the Spiritual Roundtable, where we just really get right down in it, no BS, and we just give you exactly what you need to hear. Not always what you want to hear, but definitely what you need to hear. Thank you for joining myself and Miss Keys of Wisdoms 369 for our talk today. And we hope to see you next time when we talk about feeling fear and all that goes in to just feeling that. And if you are not a member of the website, but you enjoy conversation like this and free knowledge and learning, we have a free tree of knowledge and you should check it out. Become a member. It's 100% free and you'll find it on www.childofbalance.com. Remember, as you go through this journey, please remember you are to feel your way through everything. Do not stop, do not make yourself smaller, and always continue to be unapologetically and authentically you. because the world needs more.